Well, my name is Robert Webb. I live in Helsden, formerly from South Walsham. I'm now 66 years old. Um, Started at Busseys on the 2nd of August 1972. I like sport. I used to be big into football. Obviously all that stuff has gone now because I've got older, but I've got a couple of dogs which I really think the world of, and so I spend a lot of time with them. An apprentice commercial vehicle. Well, that was a mechanic in them days, although now it's obviously technician, but same role, but I've obviously just changed the name. Well, after 47 years, I was struggling. I've got very bad arthritis I've got it everywhere, but in my hands and stuff, so I just couldn't carry on. I was having to get people to help me strength-wise, so I had to come out really. So now they very kindly asked me to take on the driving role, which I did. No, I stayed as a technician. I could have gone through that route, but by the time they'd done the senior and the master, I was probably getting on in age then. And whereas before we were all at the same level, you see.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't do that. I mean, in those days that was a 5-year apprenticeship, and then after 3 years, you then worked on your own. Very hard work though. No ramps in those days. That was all pits and just literally working on your back on a cold floor. So
Not nice in winter.
not nice in winter, no. And I remember the winters were very hard in them days as well.
Yeah.
Very hard. Oh, it was very tough. That was really, really hard work.
Yeah.
Really hard work. And as I said to you earlier as well, they'd done a 24-hour breakdown service then, so I'd done that for 10 years, I think, out of hours. So that was the middle of winter, you know. That was fun. I got some stories about that. Well, at the time, obviously my father wanted me to get an apprenticeship because apprenticeships in those days were very, very sought after, you know, if you got an apprenticeship. And obviously Busseys were a very, very good firm to work for, been established a lot of years. And a guy called Alan King who worked at Palace Street, he played football for my local side, and he was going to ask, or he did ask, if there was any chance I could get an apprenticeship here. And I got the interview, had an interview with Alan Baxter, and got the job. Yeah. And here we are 50 years later. Yeah, the rest is history, as they say. I enjoy it, you know,
Yeah.
enjoy. I wouldn't have stayed if I hadn't enjoyed it,
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Yeah, of course there was always times when you were up against it. I mean, being a technician, you are up against it, you know. People always want their motors, they want them like yesterday. They got to be, especially on the trucks, they had to be out that night because they were workhorses, you know, people's living. But we also had good fun, you know. All the guys I've worked with here have been superb.
Yeah.
Oh, massively, cars and trucks. I mean, obviously Ford came out of the trucks, stayed in the vans, but came out of the big stuff. But they've changed immensely. Very, very complicated these days. That's what they were in my day. Relatively simple in my day, although we still had our problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, that has changed hugely.
Yeah.
getting the job and passing my apprenticeship, sitting guilds and everything. And then obviously when we done the city centre pram race, which is a thing what Busseys organised, and I happened to win that 2 years running, and that was a big thing for me as well. 50 years in this trade, you know, that's quite a dangerous job at times. But out of them 50 years, I've only had really 2 serious injuries. The worst one was where I was putting a gaiter onto a brake valve and the screwdriver slipped. I went straight into my eye, the blade. I was 8 hours in hospital up the West Norwich. I thought I was going to lose my eye, but they actually managed to stitch it up inside, and my sight's perfect now. I fell down and I said I stabbed myself, and I got up and he looked at it and he went, and he keeled over. Yeah, he went over as well. That was bad. Because you didn't have mobile phones in them days, so no one had a camera, did they? So no one took any pictures. And the other one was, I had an exhaust manifold in the bench and I was putting some new studs in, that all slipped round and I just snapped my finger clean in half. That was a bad one as well. But apart from that, no, I survived it. Well, when I started here on the 2nd of August 1972, as I said, I turned up on a little moped, and I was introduced to a guy called Brian Cogman. Brian had worked here quite a lot of years then, but I actually done my apprenticeship with him, went through the whole. Well, that was a 5-year apprenticeship, as I said, but after 3 years I then worked on my own, but I've done the 3 years with Brian, and absolute wonderful man. He taught me so much, although I did mess a few things up, and he said that I was the one who turned him grey, but I don't think that was me. But no, on a serious note, he was a great guy, you know. He was like my second father. He just treated me absolutely brilliantly. If I was ever in a muddle, and you get in a few muddles when you're teenagers, don't you? You know, he always helped me, and always helped everybody else. You know, he was such a great guy. Unfortunately, Brian done 55 years here in the end, and he retired. But unfortunately, he had a short illness, and he passed away last Saturday week. So that's very, very sad. But you know, what a great man he was. He's a legend.
Wow.
For that, honestly, that's unbelievable.
It is an absolute pleasure, right?
Yeah.
An absolute pleasure. It's what you wanted. What we would have hated was to get you something you didn't want. So.
That is, I never realised that's as big as that. But that's fine, no, I'm making that. That'll fit on there lovely.
Fantastic.
And fall on.
And the really important thing is your certificate.
That.
We have invented this one just for you, right? And to be honest, I'm not sure anyone else will ever get there anymore because the world's changed so much.
No, I probably don't think, you know, when I started there was quite a lot of guys who'd done 50 years. You know,
yeah. But not anymore, is it?
No, which was always the last one.
There you go. So hopefully you value that
I
as
just want
much
to
as
say
I
thanks
do.
to all you guys. Thank you. Absolutely unbelievable. And your dad and everybody who's put up with me for 50 years. What a medal, isn't it?
Well, we've got everybody else's certificate saying well done for putting up with Bob for 50 years.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's amazing.
Well,
absolutely amazing.
You are part of the DNA of Busseys, Right,
I'm over the moon with that, I really am.
you've been here for over half of Busseys'
Yeah,
existence.
I know.
Only by a few
Let's
months.
go on,
but-
I'll get them.
Yeah.
Let's go on as quick as that. That really is.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah. John, don't stop.
There you go, mate.
Oh, thanks so much. No, that's really kind.
No, thank you. We can't thank you enough for everything you've done for Busseys over
Yeah.
the years.